come. It's hot.
Okay. Welcome to the Tibet Center here at 502 North Ridgewood Road, South Orange, New Jersey. We will begin by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West, which you'll find in the FAQ section if you scroll down on the Tibet Center's website. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all living there together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas called profound illumination. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this. Seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awakened to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed. Tadyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that Samadhi, and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. Now we generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Let's begin by reciting a rosary of Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So, I have two bookmarks. The bookmark for New Jersey and the bookmark for New York. The bookmark for New Jersey indicates that we stopped on page 5 of Ethics for the New Millennium. At the top of page 5, the end of the first little bit of a paragraph. So where we left off was the desire or inclination to be happy and to avoid suffering knows no boundaries. It is in our nature. As such, it needs no justification. and is validated by the simple fact that we naturally and correctly want it. So here we're talking about wishing for happiness and wishing to avoid suffering. And we are embarking upon the study of this book, Ethics for the New Millennium, where His Holiness is really concentrating on an ethical, non-religious, or not specifically connected to a particular religion, but the ethical qualities that you find within all religions and that you can find even, as His Holiness would say, beyond religion. And so initially we work at recognizing that we all wish to be happy. What's going on here?
I had to give a donation to kids. Now this is another.
Hello.
This is Susan.
Hi.
Yeah, Susan from years ago.
Please come sit down. We all wish to have happiness, and you can wear your shoes. So, in our pursuit of the inspiration, or the inspiration to be of benefit to others, this recognition that each and every other sentient being wishes to be happy and wishes not to suffer is essential. It is out of recognizing that we share that we develop a certain equanimity among all sentient beings, towards all sentient beings, which helps us develop true compassion and a true wish to help. If in engaging in our desire to help others, we have some kind of feeling that is a wish to help those we are close to, and a wish to not really regard those whom we don't have much to do with, if that won't lead to the attitude that we're working at developing. We have to develop that equanimity. We have to develop that attitude towards all sentient beings, and this recognition that each and every other sentient being wishes to be happy and wishes not to suffer it's like the foundation for our assuming a responsibility towards all sentient beings. And this is precisely what we see in countries both rich and poor. Everywhere, by all means imaginable, people are striving to improve their lives. Yet strangely, my impression is that those living in the materially developed countries, for all their industry, are in some way less satisfied, are less happy, and to some extent suffer more than those living in the least developed countries. Well, what do you think of that? I mean, we all live in a very comfortable, developed country. How do you feel? I mean, you've all been to other countries.
Doesn't hold to some place like Haiti. There are places that are really bad. I mean, places that aren't so bad. Rural India, places like that, but places that are beset by gangs, drugs, etc. For instance, Haiti, it's really bad. That brings that into question, but
Well, where everybody works in the salt mines. It's considerably different than being in poverty here.
He must be speaking of people who have kind of survived the early life gauntlet in undeveloped countries, like who have not died in childhood, who have not had many children die in childhood.
Yep.
He must be referring to that, because I think that suffering is incomparable to anything almost anyone would experience here.
But one of the root problems we have is craving.
Here.
Well, I mean, it's one of the problems of all humans is craving. And when you have as much as we have here in developed countries, you have a lot more craving, a lot more temptation. And it's not the same kind of suffering, but it is that habitual craving that is hard to get rid of.
The mystery is.
And you're not helping with your good cakes.
Sorry.
The mystery is why there is so much suffering in the West, I mean in the developing world. So much mental suffering when there is physical contentment. I think that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, when you're talking about the rest of the world, most of the world is suffering on a physical level all the time with discomfort and so, as you know. But in the West here, remarkably, we're not, and yet there is tremendous mental suffering no matter what your circumstances are. And why is that?
Well, as Thomas said, it's because we have this craving.
I think that's it.
Do you think that's it?
It is for me. You know, it's
So we're in this vicious circle where we have access to what we crave, and we therefore enter into this circle of craving more, because having our craving satisfied only increases the craving.
I also think it's the way the families are set up, the whole social system. In certain countries, you know, being in a family and being with the people in the village is very important. Everybody knows each other, so there's a certain kind of sustainment, I guess, emotional sustainment. While over here, we're sort of thrown out on our own. Since you're 18, okay, you go to college now, you're on your own. That's it.
You don't know what your context, what your responsibilities and your context is.
Alienation. Remember, that was a big buzzword. Alienation, the only crowd, no words.
But as His Holiness then goes into, that alienation is something that we seek. We all wish to be independent. That's sort of part of our culture as well. That's something that we consider to be
Independent, but not dependent.
But we're social animals, you know, so we do need each other for everything.
I'm a giraffe myself.
A loud one.
So indeed, if we compare the rich with the poor, it often seems that those with nothing are in fact the least anxious. So anxiety is a suffering that those who have more have. Though they are plagued with physical pains and sufferings. As for the rich, while a few know how to use their wealth intelligently, that is to say, not in luxurious living, but by sharing it with the needy, many do not. Okay, anything to say about that?
I wonder if he's, go ahead.
Go ahead, no.
I wonder if this there might be a difference between the urban poor and the rural poor. Because I think, like Lavinia was saying, maybe the rural poor, there's more of a sense of community, and therefore they're maybe sustained by that. Whereas I think here, the urban poor, you see, there's that individualistic strain, and there's much more. To me, I don't know if what he's saying would hold true for urban poor. At least in my just anecdotal observations in New York City.
Regard to the rich, and using the money right. Andrew Carnegie said, "Why do you give such a lot of stuff away?" Because he's a big philanthropist. And he said, "Whoever dies rich dies in disgrace." That was his.
I tell you, it is harder for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Easier.
Easier, yeah, sorry. I messed up the quote.
Peanut butter with a cow.
It's amazing,
To wrap in.
it's amazing how much people we think of as the rural poor, and the poor around the world as well, you know, desert environments, stuff like that, how much they know about where they are. What's, you know, there's a lot of talk about gun rights in this country, but people, hunters and so on in this, in rural areas really know a great deal, I think, a lot about sustaining, preserving, and everything, but where they are. I'm just astonished.
I don't understand what you're saying.
These people, I mean, I live among blue-collar hunters, and I called someone on the way. I drove down to be here, and I called someone on the way because I had seen a small bear as I was leaving my home, and had a conversation with a hunter about whether this bear was the particular animal that was digging in the back, or whether it was a different animal, and he would be able to know, you know, exactly what was doing what and why, because of the season and so on. So, I mean, just an example, but I consult him on everything. But I just know, having grown up in the same kind of area, that and having worked abroad in similar circumstances, that people that we think of, that we dismiss as poor, because they don't have the economic resources, in fact have tremendously rich lives and know an enormous amount about where they are and what they're doing and how they belong where they are and who they're related to and what their obligations are. And I think when you're talking about the urban situations with all of us, whether middle class or poor or whatever, people feel very cut off from those very same things.
They feel cut off from?
From that kind of sense of belonging and knowing and trusting. You know, and trusting in the past and trusting in the future and trusting where they are and the people around them and so on. I think that's a big problem.
More self-confident, you would say?
Well, I mean, sorry to take up so much time, but I mean, we are confident on the streets of New York because we know how not to get, you know, I mean, with the Morningside Heights, you know, where not to go. But it's not the same as feeling connected. I think it's what it's saying though, because a lot of people talk about rural areas in the U.S. and gun rights and, you know, are dismissive of different economic layers of the country, and they deserve a great deal of respect.
It's also nice to have a community here amongst the Buddhists. I think that's wonderful also. Great thing.
I think in poverty in urban areas, there's so much overcrowding. It takes some of the comfort of community away from you, and also that in urban areas, it takes money to get away from your house and do anything enjoyable. It's hard to find free things, and in urban or in rural areas, there's so much to do that doesn't require any money. So I think it's better for people.
You mean because you have a backyard in rural areas?
Well, I'm thinking go hiking.
Playground?
I mean, real rural areas.
Oh,
Like-
cornfields?
I mean, there's, where I lived, there were places where anyone could go wading in a river or go to a lake. You could go hiking and just about anywhere. Kids could just run around those.
Well, everything that we've said sort of indicates that the sort of great affluence and what it brings, and the sort of simple way of life, that the simple way of life brings a calmer, steadier peace and happiness than the pursuit of what those urban aspirations seem to bring. And I think it's, you know, what we're saying may seem a little banal and obvious in some way, but I think it's important for us to remember that. And our society, our culture, is cultivating this wish to become richer, a wish to become more successful, wish to become more secure. And it's interesting, the concept of security, because security seems to be the building up of barriers between us and others. That's the security is, as we know from any kind of study of Buddhism, security, the whole idea of physical or this life security is an illusion. And the more we build up that protection wall around us, the more we feel a need for a greater wall. It becomes a prison rather than the security that you gain from feeling confident with the world as it is, and the contentment with what we have.
Remember Rinpoche's remarks about doormen? He always says people think doormen's protecting them. There's no protection there. We say it all the time.
It's so interesting, the whole question of homelessness, and when you think of how, again, around the world, people live without, solid dwellings and move around a great deal. But in this country, if you, this seems to be where you're leading. If you lose your job and your salary, then you lose your apartment, or if you're divorced. I used to work in a homeless shelter, and I was amazed at how easily people ended up in those circumstances in this society. Whereas in other societies, it wouldn't be the same. I don't know what the Buddhist thought is on that particular problem, which is a crisis in this country.
What the Buddhist thought is on homelessness?
On this whole layer of people who fall through the security that you're talking about, and the refuge they have.
Well, so to take that on, if we are working at developing some kind of compassionate attitude towards others, we have to work at developing compassion for each and every other, whether they are the super rich, whether they are the homeless, and recognize the suffering that each is experiencing, without judgment, but recognize the suffering that they experience, the suffering of change that they experience, and the all-pervasive suffering that they all experience. And as we really recognize each level of that suffering, and we apply it to all the individuals that we've been sort of thinking about, considering this evening, the most important is the all-pervasive suffering. To really recognize that no matter where you are in the sort of social scheme of things, you are experiencing that all-pervasive suffering as a sentient being within cyclic existence, clinging to a sense of self, which naturally leads to dissatisfaction and engaging in actions that cause one to continue to be in cyclic existence. And that's so everyone is included in that consideration, the homeless as well as the affluent.
Except that when you think about homelessness in our society, in New York and so on, it really needs some sort of larger, these are not solutions. People can't solve these problems themselves. They really do need some sort of institution that's going to, or the government or something that's going to restore some sort of security to their lives. Things like that.
So I'm not able to address, the how to deal with homelessness. That's way beyond my pay grade. But what we are doing is working to develop a recognition of the suffering that exists in the world, and to see through the illusion that within the first world, people are comfortable and living well, and to recognize that even those at the very top of the socioeconomic ladder, there is all sorts of suffering. To get into the intricacies of where this whole system starts to be shaky and cause things like homelessness, which is tragic, and which, as you say, people fall into so easily. I mean, on our level, we have to work towards opening our hearts. We have to work towards developing the wish to remove their suffering, developing the wish to remove the causes of the suffering they're experiencing. That's what we're working on within ourselves. Of course we do as much as we can, we help as much as we can, but what we're really working at is changing our attitude towards them, towards all these forms of suffering. Yes? So, they are so caught up with the idea of acquiring still more that they make no room for anything else in their lives. So these are the affluent. In their absorption, they actually lose the dream of happiness, which riches were to have provided. As a result, they are constantly tormented, torn between doubt about what might happen and the hope of gaining more, and plagued with mental and emotional suffering, even though outwardly they may appear to be leading entirely successful and comfortable lives. Okay. I think we can. I think we understand that. This is suggested both by the high degree and by the disturbing prevalence among the populations of the materially developed countries of anxiety, discontent, frustration, uncertainty, and depression. Moreover, this inner suffering is clearly connected with growing confusion as to what constitutes morality and what its foundations are. So what constitutes morality? So His Holiness is suggesting that the people who are enmeshed in this pursuit of wealth, security, they lose track of what constitutes morality and what its foundations are. What constitutes morality and what are its foundations? Or this inner suffering is clearly connected with growing confusion as to what constitutes morality and what its foundations are. What constitutes morality? So let's take a stab at it. I mean, within the context of our knowledge of morality, it is engaging in life, refraining from harming others and working towards benefiting them. Yes, is that a fair?
Mm-hmm. Yes, if you can't help, at least don't harm. The first thing is always the noble thing.
We have the framework of the 10 non-virtues and virtues.
Or the deadly sins or the 10. Okay, I'm often reminded of this paradox when I go abroad. It frequently happens that when I arrive in a new country, at first everything seems very pleasant, very beautiful. Everybody I meet is very friendly. There's nothing to complain about. But then, day by day, as I listen, I hear people's problems, their concerns and worries. Below the surface, so many feel uneasy and dissatisfied with their lives. They experience feelings of isolation, then follows depression. The result is the troubled atmosphere, which is such a feature of the developed world. When His Holiness came to America the first time, back in 1979, there was a moment. He arrived in New York City, and he was staying at the Waldorf Astoria and the Waldorf Towers. And in those days, security and there was not much. There were 2 policemen, and that was pretty much it. There was no motorcade or anything like that. And there was a gap in the schedule, and His Holiness said he wanted to go down and see the what's it called, the Statue of Liberty. And I was the photographer, and so His Holiness got into the limousine, and we all got into the car that was following it, and we went down to Battery Park for His Holiness to see the Statue of Liberty, which His Holiness said he had a little copy of in his room in Lhasa, in the Potala. And he stood and admired this Statue of Liberty. Apparently, according to the people in his car, the driver and whomever was accompanying him, His Holiness was asking about the hospitals and what the infrastructure was to support the people of New York. He was really interested in how you tended to the challenges, the problems that of a big city like New York, and was very impressed with the large hospitals that we passed on our way down. So his immediate focus was on caring for the sick, caring for the
suffering.
So below the surface, so many feel uneasy, dissatisfied with their lives. They experience feelings of isolation, and then follows depression. The result is the troubled atmosphere, which is such a feature of the developed world. At first this surprised me, although I never imagined that material wealth alone could ever overcome suffering. Looking at the developed world from Tibet, a country materially always very poor, I must admit that I thought wealth would have gone further towards reducing suffering than is actually the case. All right. Now all these things that His Holiness describes are elements for us to consider, elements for us to, were one to be engaging in meditation, in analytical meditation, this is the stuff that a meditator considers to cut through a belief that wealth or security bring happiness, and we have to we have to work at that. We have to actually engage in such analytical meditation. We have to actually think through these, because our instincts, I think it's fair to say that the sort of natural tendency of our society, of our world, is that we can arrive at happiness, derive happiness from having our desires satisfied, from I think that, Amazon Prime, nothing against Amazon Prime inherently. However, it is really feeding just this dissatisfaction. The objects of our desire come to us so quickly that
Faster and faster.
faster and faster, yes.
Encourage you to think that you have a gap in your life unless you partake in this craft or whatever. It's very clever the way they do it too. Just selling entertainment or selling product. It's funny. Well,
So it's very important to work, I think, at stepping out of that vicious circle or gaining a handle on it. I'm not saying to give up Amazon Prime, but I think that we should recognize how we are manipulated and the process of desire and how desire leads to more desire, how desire that this idea that that thing is going to actually provide me with the satisfaction, the need, whatever that I require, how having that need satisfied itself brings the level up a notch, where I'm going to need something else to satisfy these new requirements that come about as a result of that. And yes, sir.
I think you can verbalize what kind of. So I guess what I want to say is that, like, so in my understanding, I mean, ultimately, of course, like something like Amazon Prime wants you to buy more things on Amazon, but the root of the problem is not the Amazon Prime, it's the process, in my mind, of how craving works, right? That without training, craving is more just kind of a constant state that it seeks out objects to crave, but it's not that if the object is satisfied, the process of craving doesn't go away, it just attaches to something else. And that it in a sense it is like kind of a habit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like to buy the latest iPhone.
No, the craving, the process of craving. That's the issue. Is not the iPhone. It's not the Amazon Prime.
Well, she said to buy.
Right. So the craving to, right. So like underneath that it's like a continuous feeling of it.
Of upgrading, wanting to upgrade.
The Buddhist term for it is craving, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that, like, it can't by itself ever be satisfied. It's just always going to be there unless you work at breaking that habit and that cycle.
So, if we really look at this process, the problem arises not from the craving, but from the idea of a craver. That this idea of a me that wishes to be satisfied, that needs to be satisfied, given that as we search there is no me, there is this desperate attempt to hold on to grasp at a me and a my. And so the real work that we have to do is to understand that there is no craver.
One said it's not the function of desire to satisfy you, but to perpetuate itself. That's the way it works out in the mind, so we have to be aware of that. It's not our friend. It's afflicted desire, not the desire to attain enlightenment.
But before getting to what I just said, concentrating on the level that you're talking about, yes, we have to recognize just what you're saying, and we have to work against it. We have to wean ourselves because, we're living at a time where we are able to be satisfied so quickly and so thoroughly that we really have to exert real effort in weaning ourselves, pulling ourselves away from this tendency. And that's actually, though it is a challenge in today's world, the fact that we're all sitting around even discussing it and thinking about it makes it something we can do. It's sort of like when you think about Shantideva's you need an enemy in order to develop patience. And so think of that enemy as providing you with the opportunity to develop patience. So we have to think of Amazon Prime as providing us with the opportunity to wean ourselves from this vicious circle of attachment.
It's your do you know what TikTok is?
I haven't.
You're among, so you might not know. the
I
big
haven't been
problem
sucked
these
into.
days isn't so much Amazon Prime anymore, but then it doesn't matter.
So how does TikTok suck you in?
I don't want to hijack what little is left of our precious class time talking about TikTok. It's like an addictive short form video stream. It's very bad for you.
So, Instagram, which I do know about, because it was initially a very
Sorry, go ahead.
was a wonderful community of photographers early on, and you actually we got to know each other. It was pleasant, and you presented what you had done, and people commented on it, and then suddenly the company was bought, and it became that community became the basis for or the success of that, the nice quality of that community became the atmosphere or the basis for starting to do things for profit and advertise, and then create these little wonderful reels of very attractive stuff. And I just don't have the discipline to keep myself from indulging in watching those reels, and so I had to take it off my phone. But it's wonderful. It's very entertaining.
You have the discipline to take off your phone.
I have the
know
discipline.
a little something about that in your robe.
So, but yes, we can consider TikTok or Instagram also providing us with the opportunity to work at diminishing our addictions. And that's, the fact that we come together and discuss these things helps us. It's like, I suppose it's like AA.
Sure.
And working with that, I mean, we can think of the unfindability of ourselves amongst our parts, but then we can also think of that same thing in terms of the object of our craving. Would you say those things should be done equally, or is one more important than the other?
No, both. I mean, the more you really analyze and see that an object lacks that sort of inherent quality that we impute upon it, the less we will be overcome by that desire. It's not going to do away with it, but it's very helpful. And it's also really helpful to work at recognizing the lack of self among our aggregates. We have to do that. We also have to recognize that, when you buy a new car, when you do the research, and you begin to impute upon that car the perfection, all the reasons for buying it that really suck you into a belief that it is going to satisfy all your needs. And then you own it and you feel that it possesses those things. And then you scratch it and then it hurts. And then it starts to get old. And then you need a new one. And yes?
That's everyone's problem.
I wish it were mine. We don't have a car, so it helps.
It helps with
Yes,
detachment?
we need one.
With the alienation? What does the car have to do with it?
It represents,
You mean, why do we need a car?
No, yeah, well, how does that fit into your spiritual struggle or progress? Having the car or not having the car?
No. The spiritual progress is a process of recognizing that the car, that desire for the car, and then the attainment of the car only sucks us into a process of wishing for more.
Yes. Okay, agreed. So does that mean that you no longer consider getting a car?
No, I think that you have to work at recognizing the car as a tool,
Right.
and really work at diminishing as Mark said, the more you can recognize that car lacks that sort of inherent quality that we
Right.
attribute to it,
Right.
the more our attachment diminishes. And hopefully in that process we were able to view the car not so much as this sort of perfect object of inherently perfect object of
Right.
attachment, and just see it as a tool. Tools are important. We're not saying that cars are bad or anything like that. We're saying that our attachment to them is what causes us to suffer.
Mhm.
Mickey, do you need a car? Because I have one to give away.
We need a car.
We'll discuss. I do have one to give away.
Good. Anyone else have one to give away? No?
I don't know if you want it.
does it have wheels?
Does it work?
My mechanic is a retired race car driver. He replaced the engine in this car. And I do have an extra car because, as you know,
But don't you need two cars? I mean,
why would I need two cars? It's
oh,
all, I have my father's car, which is a Lincoln Town car, driving that. This
yeah.
is my husband's car. And it is at the mechanic's now, and he's telling me it is a great car for winter, but anyway, I have it to give away. It's a very good car.
We do a 501c3 tax.
Then you can talk later.
So it's done, you no longer need, if this car's
That's
used for
your
you, you
craving
no longer
now.
need a car.
We no longer need a car, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need a car. Yes, sir.
You have to understand.
I have a question about something you said earlier. So when Mark, when he talked, so you said, okay, the core, the root of the problem is the craver. Okay, and then Mark said, okay, you can also apply the emptiness thing
To the object.
of craving. So there's different ways to apply emptiness to the object of craving, and I after he said that, I realized that one thing that I didn't think of it this way until he said it, but one thing that I try to do is think about things in terms of their function, like really focus on things in terms of their function, which is, I'm not saying I am good at it, but I am saying that I do try to do that. Which is a kind, it's that, so like really trying not to think about how pretty the car is and how I'm gonna look in it, and just really focus on, like, does it get me to where I'm going? If I press the button, will it go, will it break? I guess this is a form of that analysis, right?
So, as I said, we need tools.
Right, I mean, you need to have enough to eat, you need to be able to get around, but you probably don't need $100,000 BMW to do it, right?
It would help.
But would it though?
It would be better.
But that's true, right? I mean, it is, in a sense, it is a primitive form of that analysis.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And we know just what to do with the car, right, Mark? The wheels are not the car. The things, the color, all of the parts. So we'll never get to drive it as we're talking about it.
So there's nothing wrong with the car.
Great.
There's nothing wrong with the $100,000 BMW. It's our attachment. It's that causes us to suffer. It's not that it's wrong. It's that we suffer. It's an affliction. And it's important for us to recognize that we're not talking about some kind of sin. We're talking about the fact that it hurts us.
It's like it's like scratching a sore, you know, like at some point you do need enough to eat, but at some point it becomes like scratching a sore. The more you scratch it, the worse it gets.
So, I think we've reached the, maybe we'll finish. I expected that with physical hardship much reduced, as it is for the majority living in the industrially developed countries, happiness would be much easier to achieve than for those living under more severe conditions. Instead, the extraordinary advancements of science and technology seem to have achieved little more than numerical improvement. In many cases, progress has meant hardly anything more than greater numbers of opulent houses in more cities, with more cars driving between them. Certainly, there has been a reduction in some types of suffering, including especially certain illnesses, but it seems to me that there has been no overall reduction. So that's... So this is really, we're reading this book on secular ethics, ethics for the new millennium, but I think it's really important that we not just think of it as, a book that we talk about while we're here together, but that we take the information that we've been discussing and incorporate it into our meditation. Think about we are all living in this particular Western American first world society. We are all part of this consumer society, and we're all victims of it. And to develop that muscle of restraint, that muscle of contentment, demands that we engage in the analytical meditation process that we've been discussing this evening. So I talk about the importance of doing this at the beginning of our day, just thinking about this, recognize the importance of developing some kind of contentment with what we have. This is not going poor. This is not working towards leading a more frugal life than we're able to. This is about working towards finding that place where we are satisfied and happy. And that does demand a certain amount of, I think, self-discipline. And we arrive at cultivating that self-discipline by recognizing the value of it. And that we do by means of analytical meditation, thinking about it. Okay, so we've been asked to... Sharon. We've been asked to pray for Sharon tonight. And for... I'm sorry. Linda McLean's brother-in-law, Patrick, died. Okay.
Sharon Hurting.
Sharon
Hurting.
Hurting. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of Nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberated from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. We read the 8 verses on training the mind. The determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish all human beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness, directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of mine others. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Now, prayer for the swift return of RINPOCHE. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lobsang Tuwang Dorje Cham, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast ways of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. The holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that the supreme being of the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, a wish-fulfilling jewel. Return as the glory of Losang Tempe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Srimati Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors. May you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh and life face.
Thank you very much.